Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another series of CIOs and Bowties and CIO and Bowtie today. Well done, Mr. Crook. Welcome on board. Haven't seen you in a while.
Greg Silverman, it has been too long. Good afternoon, good evening, good hello all, and running into the weekend. Today being the 9th, I believe. No, what is today's date?
16.
The 16th. I'm a week early, a week late, whatever we are, exactly. 16th of August 2019. Today's discussion not coming from two very informed folks with regard to the subject, but a subject matter that is incredibly interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, and so it touches us in all sorts of ways, but the discussion we're having today is about water, or water, as we say, water. And really just the problems around drinking water, around desalinated water, etc. The shortage that exists. And so just back up a sec, and you'll recall from previous videos that we put a lot of material out and see what you folks like and see which articles garner eyes and attention. And the water one, quite surprising sometimes, some of the results was one that popped up. So that's one we felt like we know enough maybe to be dangerous, right?
Indeed. At the point I made to Greg earlier was 20 years ago, certainly myself and my immediate surrounds were not even considered that water was a resource that the planet would be searching for in the years to come. And that need for water has come about faster than we would have expected. Although, Greg, you and I, coming from where we do, might have recognized that water was always a resource that was difficult to get. Coming from Southern Africa, a third world country when we were growing up, and in many parts of the country, local tribes, local communities literally put buckets on their heads, buckets on their shoulders, buckets on their hips, traveled kilometers a day to and from the lakes or the rivers to get water.
Yeah. So why don't we let me recap this article, because it was very the points were actually great. So we'll put a link down to the article if you're interested in it. But it cites maybe 5 or 6 reasons why water isn't, or what the issues with water are. And I'm just going to go straight to the one you mentioned. So certainly, it says here 5 years ago, the US media reported that in 5 years, many US cities will be facing water shortages. So exactly what you said, people were like, no way, this can't happen here. And now we're seeing evidence of that for sure. The predictions come to pass. In 2012, the US experienced the worst drought in more than 4 decades. And while resources dwindled, it became apparent how scarce fresh water was in some areas of the country. And it doesn't cite that here, but I know California is very, very dry from a water perspective. Some certain water issues in California, which may be related to forest fires, but not entirely. The next prediction, and this I found very interesting, because I've seen this, is that states will begin to battle over water rights, and the rationing will be the only solution. The frightening truth, though, is that these battles have already been raging, and the only thing left to follow is the restrictions placed on water use. And to that, I'll cite 2 instances which I actually am aware of. The one is the Murray-Darling Basin in Australia, where there's an interstate conflict between New South Wales and Victoria. And one a little bit more close to home is what's known as the Appalachian Chattahoochee Flint Basin, which is really the basin surrounding Alabama, Florida, and Georgia, where there are constant, going to Supreme Court around water rights.
The problem that will accelerate rather than reduce in the years to come, I would think, right?
Points out here. So I know there's one instance of one of our pretty cities in South Africa. Maybe you want to talk about that.
Cape Town, South Africa, exactly. Perhaps the most gorgeous city in the world. I might be somewhat biased, certainly in the top 5. And in January of 18, warnings were put out, and they started counting the days to which a large city, I think a 4 million person city, give or take, was going to run out of water. Terrifying, scary, and the resource was actually taken from other areas within South Africa and drafted and shipped and trucked into Cape Town, and they got over it, obviously with the help of nature over time. But enormously worrying.
Let me ask you this real quick. So Cape Town is at the tip of Africa, literally, surrounded by an abundance of water. How does a city like that run out of water?
Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink, right? And
Not a
that's
drop to
it.
spare.
We can't drink salt water. So desalination plants are really growing in popularity all over the world. Very expensive to manufacture and put together, but we're seeing them. Cape Town does not have one, by the way, and they were offered the technology some time ago. But that being said, I know we have a good number of desalination plants in Texas. We have them in Florida. We have them in California, in terms of US.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, there's the other aspect of water, and that's recycling of water. Something that the US is inept at, something that most developed countries are inept at, something that developing countries don't do at all.
Right.
And the leaders in that, in fact, are Israel, which recycles by far the biggest percentage of its water resources, and then Spain, which is a very good user of water and very effective at recycling its water as well.
Okay, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more around the problems that relate to water and why it is becoming a greater problem.
Excellent. ACG Wealth, CIOs and Bowties, look forward to seeing you very shortly.